Everyone, this is Dim. Welcome back. Welcome back to our chapter by chapter read through of this beautiful book, The Way of the Superior Man. If you've not seen the previous episodes in this series, we are doing a chapter by chapter read through of this book and doing a little discourse at the end so you can apply the beautiful wisdom that's contained in this book into your own life. So it's going to be an incredible episode today because of the chapter we're about to read. So if you've not heard of the book, The Way of the Superior Man by David Deida, a spiritual guide to mastering the challenges of women, work, and sexual desire. It was a book that was given to me when I was 18. I'm 35 now, and I still clearly very much like it. And there is so much wisdom in this book in terms of navigating just the challenges of life. I would say for any man, anyone with a masculine essence, really. Without further ado, let's give you an opportunity to see the wisdom for yourself. Chapter 12. Be willing to change everything in your life. A man must be prepared to give 100% to his purpose, fulfill his karma or dissolve it, and then let go of that specific form of living. He must be capable of not knowing what to do with his life, entering a period of unknowingness and waiting for a vision or a new form of purpose to emerge. These cycles of strong, specific action, followed by periods of not knowing what the hell is going on, are natural for a man who is shedding layers of karma in his relaxation into truth. As you open yourself up to living at your edge, your deepest purpose will slowly begin to make itself known. In the meantime, you will experience layer after layer of purposes, each one getting closer and closer to the fullness of your deepest purpose. It is as if your deepest purpose is at the center of your being, and it is surrounded by layers of concentric circles, each circle being of a lesser purpose. Your life consists of penetrating each circle from the outside to the center. The outer purposes are often the purposes you have inherited or learned from your parents or your childhood experiences. Perhaps your father was a fireman, so you wanted to be a fireman. Or in reaction to him, you've decided to be an arsonist. In any case, the outer circles, the purposes you often apply early in life, are most likely only distant approximations of your deepest purpose. If your deepest purpose is to meditate and realize God, you might find that before you can totally dedicate yourself to this practice, you must work your way through the concentric circles of playing with sexual partners, using drugs, getting married, raising children, developing a career, and finally, having dissolved your fascination and need to do all of that, getting down to the business of full-time meditation. As you dissolve each layer and move towards the center, you will more and more be living from your deepest purposes, and then your deepest heart purpose, whatever that is, in every moment. However, you probably are not living your deepest purpose yet. You probably need to burn off the karma or fulfill the need of the present purpose by which you are fascinated and distracted. It's easy to feel disappointed by life. Success is never as fulfilling as you think it is going to be. But there is a reason for this. Successfully completing a lesser purpose doesn't feel very good for very long, because it is simply a preparation for advancing towards a greater embodiment of your deeper purpose. Each purpose, each mission is meant to be fully lived to the point where it becomes empty, boring, and useless. Then it should be discarded. This is a sign of growth, but you may mistake it for a sign of failure. For instance, you may take on a business project, work at it for several years, and then suddenly find yourself totally disinterested. You know that if you stayed with it just another few years, you would reap much greater financial reward than if you left the project now. but the project no longer calls you. You no longer feel interested in the project. You have developed skills over the last few years working on the project, but it hasn't yet come to fruition. You may wonder, now that you have the skills, should you stick with it and bring the project to fruition, even though the work feels empty to you? Well, maybe you should stick with it. Maybe you are bailing out too soon, afraid of success or failure, or just too lazy to persevere. This is one possibility. Ask your close men friends if they feel that you are simply losing steam, wimping out, or afraid to bring your project to completion. If they feel you are bailing out too soon, stick with it. However, I'll do a note on that later in the discourse. However, there is also the possibility that you have completed your karma in this area. It is possible that this was one layer of purpose which you have now fulfilled on the way to another layer of purpose, closer to your deepest purpose. Among the signs of fulfilling or completing a layer of purpose are these. Number 1, you suddenly have no interest whatsoever in a project or mission that previously motivated you highly. Number 2, you feel surprisingly free of any regrets whatsoever for starting the project or for ending it. Number 3, even though you may not have the slightest idea of what you are doing to do next, you feel clear, unfocused, unconfused, and especially unburdened. Number 4, you feel an increase of energy at the prospect of ceasing in your involvement with the project. Number 5, the project seems almost silly, like collecting shoelaces or wallpapering your house with gas station receipts. Sure, you could do it, but why would you want to? If you experience these signs, it is probably time to stop working on this project. You must end your involvement impeccably, however, making sure that there are no loose ends and that you do not burden anybody's life by stopping your involvement. This may take some time, but it is important that this layer of your purpose ends cleanly and does not create any new karma or obligation that will burden you or others in the future. The next layer of your unfolding purpose may make itself clear immediately. However, often it does not. After completing one layer of purpose, you might not know what to do with your life. You know that this old project is over for you, but you're not sure of what is next. At this point, you must wait for a vision. I'll make another note of this in the discourse. There is no way to rush this process. You may need to get an intermediary job to hold you over until the next layer of purpose makes itself clear. Or perhaps you have enough money to simply wait. But in any case, it is important to open yourself to a vision of what is next. You stay open to a vision of your deeper purpose by not filling your time with distractions. Don't watch TV or play computer games. Don't go out drinking beer with your friends every night or start dating a bunch of women. Simply wait. You may wish to go on a retreat in a remote area and be by yourself. Whatever it is that you decide to do, consciously keep yourself open and available to receiving a vision of what is next. It will come. When it does, it usually won't be a detailed vision. You will probably have a sense of what direction to move in, but the practical steps might not make themselves clear. When the impulse begins to arise, act on it. Don't wait for the details. Learn by trial and error what it is that you are to do. For instance, perhaps you were a stockbroker and then finished that particular layer of purpose. You saved up some money So now you are waiting for a vision of your next layer. After 3 weeks of going crazy, not knowing what you are going to do with your life, you begin to feel that you want to work with people. You begin to fantasize about using your financial skills to help people set up their own businesses. You have a few friends who have good intentions to save the world, but they are lousy businessmen and can't seem to get it off the ground. So you call them and offer your help. As you help them, you continually feel for the groove of your purpose. You might have a few false starts, but eventually you find that dozens of not-for-profit groups are telephoning you asking you for your advice. It feels as if the universe is supporting you in this direction. You have no idea whether you can earn a living doing this, but it feels right for now. So you apply yourself fully. You give your gift 100% without holding anything back. Soon, a wealthy man finds out about what you are doing. He admires your total commitment and your orientation to serve others. He becomes your patron. Now you are set. You have a good income. You are doing what you really want to do, and you are helping others. You love what you do, so you generate love in those who come in contact with you. Your life feels full. And then, one day, a few years later, it is finished. This layer has dissolved, and then the cycle begins again and again until you have penetrated all the layers into your deepest purpose. Then you act fully until that purpose too is dissolved in the bliss of the love that you are. So as I was reading this chapter, before making this recording for you, I actually was so keen for the discourse on this, because I came across this chapter, as I mentioned, maybe 15 years ago now, and it definitely helped in terms of really giving me a step-by-step breakdown of what to do to get clearer on what to do with my life. So effectively what he's saying in this chapter, and it's something I definitely implemented in my own life, which I can give an example of, is he's saying when you get to the point where you feel unfulfilled, dissatisfied, not sure what you want to do, but you don't feel satisfied anymore with doing what you're currently doing for your work or with your life, he's saying take some time out where you can turn down the volume on all of the noise and start to listen to your inner voice and to your inner intuition, and give your inner intuition the opportunity to guide you. And you do that not by watching too much TV or movies, or dating too many people, or distracting yourself, or going to parties. Rather, he's saying, if you can, maybe take some time out, go on a retreat somewhere, go get away from everyone else, go somewhere where it's quiet for a period of time, maybe a couple of weeks, and having the volume turned down on the rest of your life can help you listen more to your inner self. That's one clue that he gives you. Another clue that he gives you is go where there is a sense of energy. So if you are currently doing something with your life where you don't feel satisfied anymore, you don't feel fulfilled, you are dreading the week and you're living for the weekend, and you're getting to a point where you lack the motivation and energy to continue, ask yourself this question: at the thought of doing what, do I feel a sense of energy? Because even if you feel completely depleted and unmotivated at the thought of doing your job, there are other things in your life which will give you a sense of energy. Maybe that's going to the beach, or going to the gym, or helping others, or traveling, or spending time with animals, or it's beautiful and unique to you. But you want to ask that question: what is it? At the thought of doing what, do I actually get a sense of energy? And when you find that, do that. Because the more you do the things which give you a sense of energy, the better you feel, the more energetic you feel, the clearer you feel, the easier it is to remove yourself from the fog and the drudgery of the working or the the working week or life, if life gets unsatisfying to you. And it helps you actually start to get a sense of clarity of what to do with your life. So I'm going to give you an example of how I actually apply this very chapter into my own life. And then I'm going to build on it with what I've learned since then. Because, as it's been, over 15 years since I encountered this chapter. And I think that I've got to a point where I've learned some things in addition to this chapter that he doesn't share in this book. So for me, I was working in corporate for 4 years. I was in the army after high school for 4 years, and then I joined corporate, and I worked in corporate for 4 years. And for me, I totally got to the place where I was completely unmotivated, completely unsatisfied, unfulfilled. I just was like, I had a nice LinkedIn profile, but I really felt depressed on Sunday afternoon. I dreaded the work week. I just pushed myself through so I could go out drinking on the weekend. That's what I was doing, and I really thought, man, like, is this what my life is gonna be? Like, this is gonna suck. Like, and I felt like my precious life energy was just getting drained away, and I was becoming a shell of who I once was. Because I was just doing something that I just didn't care about, and I felt like I was being put into a box that society told me to get into, which is like, go to a good school so you can get into a good uni, so you can get a good job, so then you can find a good wife. And I felt like, man, this in something inside just made me feel this is not the way. I can't do this with my life, where I just feel like I hate it and I don't feel satisfied at all. And I just felt like my energy getting sapped away, and I decided to follow this exact chapter in the book, where he says, he basically shares those symptoms of, like, if you could do it, but you just have no sense of energy anymore, and also you almost don't even feel regrets of leaving, and it just feels like it's done. If it feels like that, and remember those 4 steps that he says there. He says, don't distract yourself by drinking or partying or whatever. Actually take some time away and do a little retreat. And that's what I did. I booked an Airbnb, and I spent 7 days. I was 25 years old. I booked an Airbnb. I told my work I needed sick leave, and I took 7 days out where I was at this surf shack by myself, and I just was in the ocean every day. I was reading, I was meditating. I was just trying to get some clarity on what to do. And I came to that second question which he offers there, which is, at the thought of what do you feel a sense of energy of doing? And for me, when I was 21, I had gone to Costa Rica to build an orphanage. You can do like volunteer travel work. And as you can imagine, it's very fulfilling. When I was 23, I went to Ubud in Bali and helped build a kindergarten. So here I was at 25 at this surf shack by myself, feeling like I had really taken a wrong turn in life and felt like I was trapped, because this is what everyone did. Everyone went to uni and got a job, and it was not working for me. And I couldn't find any answers, and my friends didn't know what to tell me. But I asked myself, at the thought of what do I feel a sense of energy? And I was like, you know what? Whenever I do this volunteer travel thing, when I actually go help build some homes or do some charity work, I feel some energy to do that. And so I quit my job. I came back from those 7 days, and I gave my notice of resignation, and I went to Africa. And I was building homes in Africa. And I, for the first time, my parents went crazy. Everyone went crazy. But I followed what he says in this chapter, which is be willing to change everything in your life, to be true to yourself and true to your purpose. Because through your authenticity and your honoring of your own self and your own inner voice and your own purpose and your own truth, through your authenticity comes your energy, comes your vitality, comes your motivation, comes the most inspirational, strongest, sharpest, clearest version of you. And I followed this book, I followed that chapter to a T. And I went to Africa and I was building homes there, and I was just following my own inner voice, trying to trust myself for the first time in my life. And I found myself feeling better than I ever had before, feeling stronger, feeling, just more charismatic, more powerful, more clearer, more confident. Everything started to the life energy started to come back to me again, because I was honoring life and honoring what gave me a sense of energy. And actually, when I I went on to read other personal development books, and when I got back from Africa, it was 6 months later, I got clear on what I wanted to do. And I was like, you know what? This volunteer travel thing gives me a lot of fulfillment. So what I want to do is become financially free. I'll do that through property. And then I will just go around the world for the rest of my life building orphanages. That was my original goal. And I got back from Africa, and I just I kept on believing in myself and trusting my inner voice. And I landed a job that paid $200,000 a year, doing some really wholesome work for the community as a project manager, really satisfying work that I reflect on 10 years later to this day as, man, I'm really glad that I participated in that project. That's how fulfilling it was. And I went from earning $60,000 a year to $200,000 a year when I was 25, following this chapter of the book. So as I said, it really meant a lot to me, learning this, because the more I followed my inner voice, which I feel is what he's really saying here, the more life rewarded me for it, because I felt like I was honoring life, so life honored me. Here's what I can now, as I said, it's been a long time, so I can build on these lessons. What I have found is that question of, at the thought of what, do I get a sense of energy, is one of the most powerful questions we can ask in life. There are things as unique as our thumbprint, as unique as our fingerprints, which naturally light us up in life, which we naturally find a sense of energy for. We naturally want to make time for, we'll naturally find the money for, we naturally want to keep in our personal space, we naturally gravitate towards, we naturally like to talk about, we're naturally interested in. My offer to you, so the mainstream version of this is find your passion. What are you passionate about? Basically, search your bank of understanding for, I have processes that I take my coaching clients through, where you can actually break this down into like a table where you can ask 12 different questions and see trends that you've seen in your life. But what you will find is, over the last, say, 20 years of your life, there have been themes unique to you which you have gravitated towards. Maybe that's relationships, maybe that's finance or like wealth building. Maybe you gravitated towards cars, or maybe like motorbikes, or the beach, or skateboarding, or technology. There'll have been different things in your life which are kind of unique to you. Not everyone kind of shares that, but you really love it, that really light you up. And the key is, the more you can actually connect with those things and organize and prioritize your life around those things and get clearer about what you like about those things. So let's say hypothetically you love technology. Cool. What kind of technology do you like? Do you like the end user stuff, which is like actually the laptops and the phones and the iPads? Do you like the stuff that the end user uses? Or do you like the actual circuit boards and whatever? Or do you like the internet and how that all works? Like, what specifically do you like about that specific area that you like? The more you break it down and get clearer on the stuff that really moves you and makes you feel a sense of timelessness, which is basically you're so immersed in it that you can't even connect to time. You lose track of time. I don't know if you can tell, by the way, but when I'm doing these videos here with you and I'm, helping you, on your journey, I am completely 100% present and I lose track of time, right? And when I think about it, it makes me get tears in my eyes. So I hope you can see, as an example, this is someone who has found things that he genuinely loves and are purposeful and meaningful to him, and he's doing it, right? And I'm saying this for you as an indicator. Where can you find your version of this?